Who are you?
Who are you?
What are you doing here?
Where are we?
We're walking through these doors.
I told him. So this is Joe Lewis.
Nice to meet y'all. First time on a podcast.
He's gonna be president one day, just so you know.
Hopefully, Joe 2020. Oh, well, 2050 something.
No, 2024.
2024?
Joe 2024. So I told him before the podcast, I was like, we usually introduce it in a different way every time, and he immediately had an answer. And it was that was it. That was it.
I think it worked out pretty great.
I think this is probably the best intro, truthfully. So while we're at it, tell the podcast a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Joe Lewis. I'm 15 years old. I've come to love FFA. I'm involved in 4-H, do a lot of different stuff in and out of school, a lot of different church stuff, and I'm proud to be a member of Winfield FFA.
Mm-hmm. So Tuesday was a pretty important day. We had our District LDE competition. I competed in Extempt, which I was really nervous about, truthfully. Extempt is a pretty stressful contest. I don't know if you guys know what Extempt is, but we basically get 30 minutes to memorize and write a whole speech, and we have to give it after those 30 minutes are done. It can be about any agriculture-related topic, and pretty stressful for me. I don't like, stuff on the spot. It makes me a little nerdy. So while I was competing in Extempt, what competition were you competing in?
Oh, and just one side note, by the way, she did V-Up. She won first place. But I competed in Creed Speaking. Creed Speaking is a competition where we say the FFA Creed. The FFA Creed, it was brought by the National FFA organization. It gives us ways we as FFA members should carry ourselves and act. And in this competition, I have to say the creed without missing any words, as well as answer 3 questions afterwards.
So yeah, pretty fun. How'd you feel about it? First competition?
It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was good. I was a little nervous. My first time ever competing in, FFA. But I enjoyed it. I think I did pretty well. Got 3rd place.
I gotta say, our holding room was pretty crazy, pretty wild. We played Uno. We had great times. Possible, questionable insults were thrown, but we won't discuss those. The person who said possible, questionable insult is in the room, so don't want to put her on too much blast. And for a while there, I wasn't sure if I would be able to compete because somebody threw up. And the advisor's student had to leave, and so she was the one that was judging my contest, and so we're scrambling trying to figure out who would be the next judge for it. So that was a little stressful.
Oh yeah, and fun thing with that situation, Gracie, who was competing, the girl started puking almost during her competition because she was a student in her competition. She was doing Go Teach. And I can only imagine how she felt during the competition when she threw.
I was told that everything was going normal, and then she goes, and then she has to run out the room. Could not be me.
Couldn't be me. I would have lost all composure.
I probably would have started laughing, to be honest. I'm a giggly gal. We also had something pretty cool today. This was both of our first times judging a competition, which was pretty wild. I've never judged a competition, and on top of that, it had to be easily the best competition ever known to man to ever exist on this planet. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
P-Law. And so we got to watch people from, I'm not sure which district, but we got to watch a few people compete, which was pretty cool. Cool.
And I enjoyed it. Something that I've never witnessed, though, is being on the other side of the table as opposed to competing. And I feel it's something really cool. What's going through the judge's head and how they feel afterwards was a cool way of getting a new perspective.
Mm-hmm. It was nice being in that room because I'm in a competition room, but my stomach's not doing backflips, which is pretty cool. Also, I just got to see all the ins and outs, what goes into it. I got to see like what is like actually considered. And it felt pretty cool, knowing that like my decision would have like true impact and that like this is a very like serious job and task that we have to do.
Like we got to send people to the area. Like, isn't that crazy?
I know. It's pretty cool. We changed lives today.
We did change lives.
We changed lives. A lot of the teams were pretty cool too. We had a lot to talk about on the ride back. Be like, oh my gosh, like that person did like blah 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 so well. Like, did you hear that debater? Like, it was really nice. So yeah,
we've had a pretty eventful 2 days out of the week. Maybe not back to back, but pretty eventful. And one thing I do want to talk about is that Tuesday. A girl who also competed, her name is Finley McManus.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Riley's old ag teacher, after we were done competing, he had dinner with us. And Finley went over to him, looked at his bread and said, "Why is your bread brown?" Just almost out of nowhere. "Why is your bread brown?" And it was kind of weird. And then he says, "It's just wheat bread." "But why is it brown?" He said, You've never seen this before? "Why is it brown?" That is a new one.
She almost seemed insulted that he dare have a piece of brown bread on his plate. Like and when she asked that question, a hush fell over the restaurant. Like nobody, like, what do you mean? It's just bread. Like, have you never been to like these restaurants before? It was crazy. And then, what word was spelled wrong? There was like an instance of like him trying to convince us that a word is spelled differently.
Wheat.
He said it was spelled with a P.
He said that the word was spelled P-W-H-E-A-T. Pweat. And the crazy part about it is all of the students were convinced. Like everybody was convinced that wheat was spelled with a P after spelling it like that all their life.
Pretty sure a few people Googled it. Like pretty crazy times all around. Also, so me and Joe have had many interactions. We've had many car ride conversations, especially today. We just had a 2-hour drive, so the conversations went crazy. Like, we had nothing to talk about. So a few of my favorite highlights from today were cats are great. Cats are great. Whether you like warm or cold temperatures, I'm a warm gal.
I'm also warm.
We're dynamic duo in that. What else? I'm trying to remember.
Condiments. Are not Alyssa's thing.
Not my thing. You guys have definitely heard about that before. I've definitely talked about it on the show, and if I haven't, oops. And then Dairy Queen. Our general opinions on Dairy Queen. So
that specific Dairy Queen, it's pretty good. It had more dairy than Queen, if you can get what I'm saying. But it was pretty good. I love my ice cream.
We did have to share our table with a few flies, if that also paints a little bit of a picture.
Yeah.
But I feel like that added more to it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, as we wrap up the final few seconds of our podcast, more like a few minutes because we like to talk, we each have to ask each other a different question. It's a tradition on our podcast, so a question that hasn't been asked before. And as guest, I will let you go first.
All right. Alyssa Van Blaricum, what would you consider to be the greatest ever invention? The most useful invention ever?
The invention of YouTube. I don't know what I would do, truthfully, without YouTube. Every single night, I crawl into my bed, search up a random topic, look at my favorite YouTubers, and just go ham for 3 hours. My life would not be the same without it. Best invention. Joe, why do you think they named the colors the way they named them? Why do you think they named blue and red?
I think they named them that because one person said it was a good idea, and then another person just agreed with them. Something else, though, we have no way of knowing if we all see the same colors.
I know.
We have no way of knowing that, but we see it as blue or somebody else sees as blue. Might be red to you, but I guess they named them that because that was just in their head.
I want to do okay, I'm going to be really quickly, but I want to do a thought experiment, but not really because it's not morally right, but I just want to know. If you take babies, right, and raise them in a completely white environment, give them completely white food, and then after 5 years, once they've learned, all the names of colors, you introduce them to colors, and you're like, okay, which color makes you think of warmth? Which color makes you think of cool? That sort of thing. I want to know if that's real. I want to know if that's the truth. Okay, so now we have to be really, really quick. What is, okay, now we have to end the podcast in a really, really different, cool way that's never been done before. This is a ponytail. I'm going to hit the camera, and I already know it, so don't actually know it.